It's Monday, December 12. In the headlines, MOCA launches anti-corruption tip line. Regionally, Bahamas Union of Teachers enjoying new benefits. Internationally, NASA's Orion capsule returns to Earth after test flight to Moon. And in sports, Courtney Walsh speaks on Windies women's performance. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, is hosting a workshop today, December 12, dealing with issues relating to bullying. The theme of the workshop is Victims to Systems, Consequences of Bullying and Cyberbullying. It's being held at the Conference Center in downtown Kingston, and it was scheduled to start at 8:30 a.m. with registration. Research and Development Manager at the CPFSA, Glecia Reed-Smith, says the objective of this second workshop is to equip participants with the understanding of the consequences of bullying and cyberbullying. She says this will be done by examining the psychosocial, physical, and emotional aspects of these phenomena within children's school environments and different contexts. The management of the Princess Margaret Hospital in St. Thomas and representatives of Atlas Security is set to meet this week to address issues which led to some guards staying off the job. The security guards, some of whom have been off the job since last week Saturday, are upset about non-payment of wages. This resulted in a limited number of guards manning critical areas at the hospital. Papine High School now boasts a new multi-purpose sports court and gazebo. The sports court was built to facilitate netball, volleyball, and basketball with a price tag of $5.7 million. The Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Grange, opened the facility on the weekend.
We, the adults, brought you into the world, and we must be your greatest protector. We must be your bastion of stability and care, of love and support. It is our duty and service, and we take it very seriously. That's why we're here today. So finally, as if to remind us that good actions spark other good actions, I understand you. You were talking about the long jump. Okay. So I've made a note of it.
The gazebo, which cost $2.9 million, has a ramp for wheelchair access and has space for the staging of events, a study area, and can be used for classes. Minister Grange encouraged the students to make full use of the facilities. You can report corrupt officials by contacting the nearest police station or their ministerial offices. However, there's a new way to do this. Jamaicans can report corrupt public officials and high-level criminals by utilizing the new tip line established by the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA. The country's first anti-corruption tip line, 888 MOCA Tip, that's 888 MOCA Tip, was officially launched during a press conference at MOCA's Oxford Road headquarters in Kingston on the weekend. It will give members of the public an opportunity to make reports related to public sector corruption, organized crime, lottery scamming, and other serious crimes, and to receive rewards for information leading to successful operations and arrests. These rewards range from $10,000 to $1 million. Speaking at the launch of the initiative, MOCA's Director General Colonel Desmond Edwards says this is, quote, an effort to empower and encourage our citizens. He expressed his hope that the program will help to develop, quote, good intelligence and ultimately good cases, end quote. MOCA has partnered with Crime Stop with this program, and the organization will use its award-winning system to collect the tips, process the information, and issue reports to MOCA for analysis, preparation, and action. High praises are coming in for the screenwriting program spearheaded by the British Council, JAMPRO, and the Jamaica Film and Television Association, JAFTA. The program was designed as a capacity-building initiative designed to enhance the script writing skills of Jamaicans in the film-making industry. The sessions afforded participants the skill sets to improve their script writing and their capacity to make a pitch to any kind of entity to secure funding. Script writer Imani McNair believes these skills are critical for members of the film sector in Jamaica. It's just a few days before Christmas Day and people will be out and about doing business and shopping for that special gift. While you're on the road, remember to stay vigilant and stay safe. Here's a safety tip to bear in mind from Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay of the Constabulary Communications Network.
First of all, I would want to say to persons that throughout the season, they need to be very alert and be very safety and security conscious. So as you move around, you want to make yourself as hard as a target as possible, in that you have to do things to make yourself safe. So you want to make sure that you are paying attention to your immediate surrounding, look at the people beside you. You're walking on the street, you don't want to be talking on your cell phone or having your headset on, because that limits your ability to hear and see what's happening around you. If you have to go into those public spaces, and more often than not, they are crowded spaces, you want to limit the amount of bling that you wear. So your expensive jewelry and the gadgets that will attract criminals to you, you want to leave those home and try to be as basic as possible.
In the business report, we begin with another business tip, courtesy of Sterling Asset Management. We also have your regular market updates from Danita Rodney.
Hi, I am Dwayne Neal, Assistant Vice President, Personal Financial Planning at Sterling Asset Management. I have been a financial advisor for over 10 years, and my business tip today is how to counteract inflation. By definition, inflation is the general increase in the prices of goods and services over time, or the fall in the purchasing value of money over time. Earning a fixed income, whether from your salary or from your investments, means that you will be forced to purchase fewer goods and services as prices increase. To mitigate against this, persons will have to find ways to generate additional income. Many investors have investments with a fixed interest rate. They are only able to seek higher rates upon the maturity of their current investments. Because of this, I encourage persons to invest in short-dated or short-term assets. This will allow you to reinvest in a timely manner and in assets which provide returns in line with or greater than the current rate of inflation. Another option would be variable rate bonds. Variable rate bonds allow investors to buy into investments that will increase in returns as inflation soars. There are several types of variable rate bonds available to investors, but to combat inflation specifically, investors need to look for inflation-linked variable rate bonds. These will help to hedge against inflation risk, as the interest income received will increase during inflationary periods. Finding ways to increase your income is crucial in overcoming the effects of inflation and in maintaining your purchasing power.
Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Friday, December 9, the US dollar sold for an average of $154.34. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $114.09. The pound sterling traded for $189.02, and the euro sold for an average of $165.56. In GSE trading, the GSE index declined by 1,613 points. The junior market index advanced by 40 points. The combined market index declined by 1,141 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index declined by 2,298 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 100 stocks, of which 37 advanced, 44 declined, and 19 traded firm. Stocks advanced for Barita Investments Limited, Carreras Limited, and Consolidated Bakeries Jamaica Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Blue Power Group Limited, and Caribbean Cement Company Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Verbal Preference, Virgin Paints Jamaica Limited, and CAC 2000 9.5% Cumulative Redeemable Preference Shares. The overall volume leaders were Pulse Investments Limited with over 700,000 units, Fontana Limited with over 600,000 units, and Wigton Wind Farm Limited Ordinary Shares with over 500,000 units. In regional stocks, on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, Clico Investment Fund was the only active security posting over 70,000 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, First Caribbean International Bank was the volume leader with over 100,000 units. They were followed by Goddard Enterprises Limited, which traded 10,000 shares. In regional business, on Friday, December 9, the Guyanese government announced the finalization of a multi-million-dollar contract to build a power plant and natural gas facility that will cut electricity rates by half and produce cooking gas for national use and for export.
That's why I'm saying the cost oil part is the pipeline, and that is we're sharing that, okay, between Exxon and the government of Guyana. And we are on the NGL facility and the power plant. Those will belong to the government of Guyana. So we own the gas that comes in, the 50 million cubic per day. We own that gas. We will get all the liquids when the gas is processed to go into the power plant. We'll get all the power, and then we'll get all the liquids. 100% of the liquid would belong to us. There's no 50-50 split there because we own that. So we get 100% of the cooking gas and etc., which is about 3 times more than what we use now nationally. So we'd have to export. And there'd be other liquids too. The sale of the liquids will then allow us to pay back for the infrastructure. So effectively, the power comes into us at free. Basically, if we can pay for the operation and maintenance costs and the capital expenditure from the sale of the liquids, then really we're getting the power, and the gas comes in for free. We're getting the power for zero, effectively.
In international business, Wall Street ended lower on Friday as investors assessed economic data and awaited a potential 50 basis point interest rate hike by the U.S. Federal Reserve at its next policy meeting.
The Dow shed 0.9%, while the S&P and NASDAQ each lost nearly 0.75%. U.S. producer prices rose slightly more than expected in November amid a jump in the costs of services, but the trend is moderating, with annual inflation posting its smallest increase in 1.5 years. Paul Kim is CEO and co-founder of Simplify ETFs.
I think at this point, inflation is not some scary outlier. We have a fairly good grasp of the fact that it's hot. It's been running hot. It's still likely to run hot for a while, but that some of the biggest drivers that made it run hot is starting to slow down and cool down. So I think the sort of fear factor is gone, and you see that in the levels of volatility coming in and just the activity and volumes in the market coming down.
Consumer prices data for November, due Tuesday, will provide fresh clues on the central bank's monetary tightening plans, which it will announce at its policy meeting next week. As for individual movers, Lululemon Athletica tumbled almost 13% after the Canadian athletic apparel maker forecast lower than expected holiday quarter revenue and profit. Netflix gained 3.1% after Wells Fargo upgraded the video streaming giant to overweight from equal weight. and Boeing climbed 0.3% after Reuters reported the plane maker plans to announce a deal with United Airlines for orders of the 787 Dreamliner next week. Wall Street's main indexes have fallen this week after logging 2 straight weekly gains.
In market data for oil prices steadied on Monday after several weeks of declines. Brent crude futures were down 15 cents at $75.95 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude was at $71.39 a barrel, up 37 cents. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Denida Rodney.
In regional news, in the Bahamas, since the signing of the new industrial agreement back in September, President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, Belinda Wilson, says union members have already been able to enjoy several benefits.
So October 2022 payday, they were able to receive the salary increases for 4 months, July, August, September, October. As we speak, November's payday, persons receive the retention bonus. The additional individuals, the expectation is that they will have their retention bonus in December.
Wilson says she is constantly policing the industrial agreement, and her team is keeping a close eye on all of the benefits of the new agreement.
In several months' time, next year, 2023, early, we will be going back to our members to get new ideas, information, benefits that they want to see in the new agreement, which expires in June of 2025, because we want to get back to the table in 2024.
In Trinidad and Tobago, Minister of Sport, Community Development and Member of Parliament for Tobago West, Shamfa Kojo, has joined the People's National Movement's call for the Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary, Farley Augustine, to call an election.
This as the secretaries of the THA have all resigned from the Watson Duke-led party, the Progressive Democratic Patriots. She said the people of Tobago did not vote for this.
This band of independents who don't know what they stand for are taking Tobagonians for granted. We have lost a year, or should I say they have lost 25% of their time, of their term. And what do we have to show for it as it relates to development? Yes, we know that they can throw a good fit, but what about development for Tobagonians, providing jobs, providing opportunities for Tobagonians, providing business for business people, for contractors? I think that they have wasted a whole year, and Tobagonians need to be honest and frank and look at what is in the best interest of Tobagonians and call the Tobago House of Assembly to account.
She said there's only one way to rectify the problem.
The people of Tobago did not vote for independence. What is this? I don't even think they know what this thing that they're forcing upon us is. And I think it is only best for Tobagonians to call a spade and take a true, honest look at what is taking place and determine the best way forward. And the best way forward may be to hold a fresh election. So we are in troubled waters, and no amount of PR, no amount of lying to the people would change that.
In Antigua, the government is leaning towards paying public sector workers a month's salary towards retroactive pay for increases between 2019 and 2020. ABS TV has the details.
Prime Minister the Honourable Gaston Brown says they are looking at a 4% increase over the 24 months, amounting to about 96% of a month's salary.
Technically speaking, the back pay would not exceed 1 month's pay. It would be a little less than 1 month's pay. But the difficulty is that those who came on board, probably let's say in 21 and 22, they would not be eligible for even maybe 20%. So we have to be careful not to be overpaying people.
Yes.
But I think we can take the chance and pay 1 month's pay for those who are still in the service and who are in the service up to maybe, let's say, the end of 2021.
The Prime Minister says the government has been told it will take up to 6 weeks to calculate increases, but his government wants to make the payments before year-end.
Haven't given that commitment since, February of this year, March of this year when we did the budget. We do not want to have it, we have to do something before the end of the year. That much I do know.
In Barbados, Prime Minister Mia Mottley reiterated the continued transformation of the tourism industry in both the public and private sectors as key as Barbados seeks to remain a competitive destination.
We have before us a paper now to look at the transformation of the Barbados tourism market in Inc. as a public-private sector body. The Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association is critical to that conversation. Similarly, we've already said that Barbados does not have enough greenfield sites for us to be able to build out the sector into the 21st century and to ensure that it can continue to pay our bills in a credible way. That will mean that we need to discuss how best we can renew our product, how we can ensure that in renewing our product, as we did with the BEST program, that we can green it, that we can have sufficient digitization, that we can train our workers to be the best that they can be, and indeed, that we can have the synergies with manufacturing, agriculture, and of course, culture.
In international news, the United States has been asking the question for decades. Can it put people on the moon again and explore beyond it? Now they have a cautious answer. Al Jazeera's Papine has the story.
Splashdown.
And this was the moment NASA knew. Success. A first step toward putting humans back on the moon completed.
The latest chapter of NASA's journey to the moon comes to a close.
On November 16th, the Artemis 1 rocket lifted off.
And liftoff of Artemis 1.
Taking a journey deeper into space than ever before, coming within 128 kilometers of the moon. But the hardest part, getting the unmanned module back without burning up. It would re-enter the atmosphere going 32 times the speed of sound. The heat surrounding it, more than 2,700 degrees Celsius. So scientists tried a new technique to help with that.
And do a nominal skip maneuver where we're actually going to bounce off once.
We have 3 fully inflated main chutes.
The parachutes deployed, and the U.S. Navy was ready and able to retrieve the capsule and the tests inside. Next up, they hope to have a crew, complete with a woman and a person of color, make the journey in 2024. But the end goal is much bigger, getting astronauts on the moon, able to build a kind of way station for further exploration.
That's why this is a defining day. It is one that marks new technology, a whole new breed of astronaut, a vision for the future.
But big challenges remain before an American can step foot on the moon. The private company SpaceX has to develop a kind of series of gas stations in space and build a lander. And there will likely be pressure from Congress. These launches are costing 8 times more than was forecast, in all expected to cost more than $93 billion.
Until you actually look at the Earth yourself through the window.
Still, Susan Kurland, the youngest person and only the second woman to pilot a spacecraft, tells Al Jazeera that she believes the eventual payoff is worth the heavy price.
I think the most important is we're inspiring the Artemis generation. We're inspiring kids to want to go into STEM fields, to want to shoot for the stars.
Okay, Houston. The landing coincided with the 50th anniversary of the last time an American was on the moon, leaving quite the impression.
I was strolling on the moon one day.
50 years later, scientists believe they are one step closer to making sure someday soon, someone can take a stroll on the lunar surface again.
China's zero COVID policy has been one of the toughest in the world, from mandatory regular testing to quarantine in medical facilities. But after rare protests, the government dropped most of the strict measures and eased others. Nevertheless, across the country, urban areas showed signs of a population either afraid of a coming surge or already grappling with infections. Al Jazeera reports.
You'd think that after imposing some of the toughest COVID-19 restrictions on the planet, lifting them would fill the streets and cafes with people and life would be getting back to normal. By getting rid of measures like forcing people into quarantine camps, letting people isolate at home and allowing free travel within the country, China may have stopped the protest that took place last week, and citizens have expressed relief, but this is now happening. People are still afraid to go out. In Wuhan, where the first cases of COVID-19 were discovered, it's still mostly empty and business owners are worried.
Businesses are struggling to hold on. Let's see how it goes. After things have opened up, we'll have to see if there are any travelers. We have to see what the footfall will be like. If things are still the same next year, people will have to leave.
People are staying away because they're afraid the lifting of the restrictions will mean more people will be exposed to the virus. But the government is working to reassure people that they are safe to get back to their lives. One of the other big worries is a lack of medical supplies and testing kits, but pharmacists in southern China say once disrupted supply chains are now functioning as they're supposed to.
There have been times when we've run out of stock because demand has significantly increased. But we have made some adjustments, so if we run out of certain items, they will be restocked the next morning.
It'll take a while for people to begin to get back some semblance of a normal life. The Chinese government has pushed the narrative the only way you deal with COVID-19 is that you don't have any cases at all. But its own health experts are now saying by scrapping regular testing, infections are going up. Not so, say the government. Health authorities reported 1,661 new infections for Beijing on Saturday, down 42% from 3,974 on December 6th, a day before the national policies were dramatically relaxed. Transitioning from a zero COVID policy to a deal with COVID policy is going to take some time, an opinion that health experts and the government seem to agree on. But how that transition is managed is in dispute, with health officials fearing a mass outbreak. But Beijing's worried that the tough restrictions on movement that led to rare protests and open criticism of the government will flare up again.
In sports, England women took a 1-0 lead in the 5-match T20 International Series against the West Indies women when they registered an 8-wicket victory at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua. Senior all-rounder Chanel Henry said the team's batting never got going and the low total was just not enough. The series now moves to the Kensington Oval, where the teams will meet for the remaining 4 matches on December 14, 17, 18 and 22. All matches start at 6 p.m. Eastern Caribbean time. That's 5 p.m. Jamaica time. England swept the 3-match one-day series against West Indies, leaving the home team's coach Courtney Walsh disappointed. The West Indies legend shared his thoughts on the team's performance.
The West Indies women lost all 3 of their matches against the visiting England team, and the coach Walsh was not happy with the team's performance.
I thought it was a poor series by us. We didn't play the type of cricket that we wanted to play. So England outplayed us. The bowling was not bad, in the field wasn't that bad, but I think in all 3 games the batting wasn't what we expected or what we wanted or was hoping for. So the series has ended with a lot of disappointment because I know we can play better cricket than that, and we didn't show that.
With the Women's T20 World Cup on the horizon, Coach Walsh wants to see his team put their best foot forward in the 5-match T20 series against England starting on Sunday.
This was our last ODI, so we focus everything now on the T20 from now until World Cup. So we have 5 games against England, so it's 5 games that we have to utilise well to make sure that we get accustomed to what the brand of cricket we want to play. And the execution has to be a lot better. Then we have the tri-series after, but we have to focus on this England series now to make sure that we get something out of the series.
He says there are some positives to be taken from the one-day series.
After the first game, we bounced back in the field in the last 2 games. I thought that was good and a good batting. What I thought was a decent batting track. I thought the bowlers, well, the captaincy Haley in terms of how she rotated the bowlers. Schultz making a debut, but the big high point for me was I think Rashad carrying her bat in the second game and getting a score in the first game because it's been a while since we've had anyone sort of getting back-to-back scores, so to speak, and to get a 50. And it was only in 1 game, but that was good to see. But the high point was the way we rallied back in the field after the first game, after 300 against us.
Kent Fuentes, TTT Sports.
The 4 semi-finalists for the FIFA World Cup in Qatar have been decided. On Saturday, Morocco created history by becoming the first African team to reach the semi-finals in the tournament's history with their 1-0 win over Portugal. Youssef Ensari scored the game's only goal in the 42nd minute to end Cristiano Ronaldo's hope of lifting the coveted World Cup title. In the day's other encounter, defending champions France sent England packing when they registered a 2-1 victory in their quarter-final match. Croatia will face off with Argentina in the first semi-final on Tuesday, while Morocco will tackle France in the second semi-final on Wednesday. And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks so much for watching.